With a major selection of the looks your kiddos love starting at just $4 in the Walmart app, a new school year means a stylish new them. Who knew? Find skater skirts and Crocs that say, I'm casual but cool. Sparkly sneakers that say, it's my classroom, you're just learning in it. And preppy polos that say, I'm the teacher's pet, even if they're mommy's menace at home. Find their favorite styles starting at just $4 in the app. The Walmart you thought you knew is now new.
The McDonald's Snack Wrap is back. You brought it back. Ranch Snack Wrap. Spicy Snack Wrap. You broke the internet for a snack. Snack Wrap is back. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
My cat Freddie loves to be brushed and cuddled. But stirring up his cat allergens meant sneezing and itchy eyes. Then I found Purina One Live Clear. It's cat food that reduced the major allergen and my suffering in as little as 21 days. Now, we feel closer than ever. If you have issues with cat allergens, you really need to try Purina One Live Clear.
Try new Purina One Live Clear today. Purina One, a difference from day one.
Otterland's assassin slips into the night to hunt her prey, successfully avenging Princess Nehemia's death by murdering Grave, a fellow assassin she competed against to become King's champion. Celaena presents Grave's head to the king and Minister Mollison, who is ultimately responsible for hiring Grave to assassinate Nehemia. The assassin presents a list of traitors to the king before checking on Archer and warning him to leave Rifthold or face the consequences. Finally, Celaena visits her friend's burial site to honor her with a funeral song, the likes of which leads Chaol to suspect Celaena's heritage. In a last act of friendship, Celaena packs away Nehemia's belongings to be collected, only to discover what the princess knew and was hiding from Celaena, which leads the assassin to solving the riddle in Queen Elena's tomb. While Dorian and Celaena try to make amends, Chaol hunts down clues to Celaena's past in the library. Hi there, we're Book Talk for Book Talk with Jack and Amy, your book besties who take the novels you love seriously.
This is Jack.
And I'm Amy.
We embrace and respect modern fantasy, romance, and romantasy books written by women. And so it is in our nature to analyze these books as we would any other novel we might have dissected in school.
With our combined 13 years of literary academic training, we use our education to analyze and give voice to reasons you may love or hate today's popular books.
This is part 2 of this week's episode, where we're discussing chapters 35 through 38 of Sarah J. Maas's second Throne of Glass novel, Crown of Midnight.
Before we dive in, don't forget Spilled. Spoilers, perspective and interpretation, language, and themes.
If you would like more information, please go back and listen to the start of part 1 of this week's episode. Chapter 37 has Celaena deciding to do one of the things that really is the hardest part of losing someone, and that is having to clean out the stuff of someone that you just lost. Unless you're me and you just start pocketing shit before others come in.
I mean, it's allowed.
I didn't take anything valuable. I took the everyday things. That was one of the side moment. I was 12. My dad died. Everyone was crying around the room and everything. And my dad's watch that he wore every day, it was not a fancy watch. It was just his everyday watch. It was cracked even. And his driver's license were on the coffee table and everyone's crying. And I just like slowly reach out and take both of them and put them in my pocket.
I know, because I've seen that watch.
I love that watch. I remember that. So that's like what I do now. And Grandma and Grandpa Grandma and Grandpa had a different method. They had
Post-its. A different method. Yeah.
Yeah. They gave us Post-its and they're like, go forth. We actually had a full table at theirs. I forgot.
At the reception. Here are some plates if you want to take something to remember Grandma by.
We really did have. Did you end up taking anything? No.
I
think you did. My mom was like very insistent that you take something.
I think I did take a plate.
My grandparents loved you.
I know.
All right. So, like I said, this is one of the saddest things unless you're me and you're deciding to steal shit. But this is sad because Celaena has decided to put away the clothing and just like not hide, but like pack everything for whoever it was is going to come and take all of Nehemia's clothes. While reflecting on losing Nehemia, though, Celaena destroys / gets rid of her own clothing. Quote, almost as wild as she'd been earlier today, when she walked into her own dressing room and ripped every gown off its hanger, pulled out every pair of shoes, every tunic, every ribbon and cloak, and thrown them into the hallway. She'd burned the dresses that reminded her the most of Nehemia, the dress that she'd worn for their lessons, at their meals, and on their walks around the castle. It is a pure rejection of the feminine. It is purely getting rid of anything that will remind you of that person. It's the rejection of the comfort that she found in Nehemia.
Mhm.
I will say, I still have like a dress that my grandma bought me, and I will not get rid of that dress. One of the last items that my dad bought me, like clothing, it was like this sweater thing, and I had it forever. And then my luggage was stolen, and that was in there. And that was like the last thing that my dad had bought me.
Mm,
Yeah, I
that
hope that
sucks.
person's happy.
Well, maybe I can make you feel better about this. First off, let's acknowledge the fact that Celaena multiple times in this book has had a desire to destroy things that she's bought with the king's money. And it's usually when someone's calling her out for something or when they assume the worst about her, but it's because she's putting up a front, like when everyone thought that she was killing the king's targets.
Mm-hmm.
It's evidence of her self-hatred. This time she actually acts on it because she is overcome with self-hatred and guilt over Nehemia's death. I feel like the fact that Celaena burns the dresses that remind her of Nehemia possibly is symbolically a funeral pyre to honor Nehemia, because Nehemia was buried while Celaena was in the dungeons. I know we're going to see Celaena at Nehemia's burial site, but fire is also a form of mourning.
Yeah.
The fact that the first dress Celaena burned was the dress she wore the night of Chaol's birthday, the night they first had sex.
Well, that's allowed. That's burn that shit.
Also symbolically part of the mourning of their relationship.
I'm very pro burning anything that reminds you of the ex. That's fine. That's fine. Like, I even have my jar of like fancy lotion that my uncle got me for Christmas this year, and I used it all, and I don't want to get rid of the jar.
You could just refill it with more lotion.
I'm probably going to like wash it out and use it as like a little jewelry holder.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. It's like cool lotion and stuff. But yeah, I'm a sentimental hoe.
You are.
Unless it comes to an ex-boyfriend. In that case, burn that fucker away. Again, one of my proudest moments, the night my ex and I broke up, I put every single thing he bought me and teddy bear and all that stuff over the course of 3 years into a box. And like that night, and then I didn't even go to bed. I was like, remove everything, and then donated it the next day. Be cutthroat, ladies.
Yeah.
Sorry, editor.
We're particularly harsh today.
As Celaena goes through Nehemia's things, it becomes very clear that Nehemia has kept her own secrets once again, and the secrets just keep coming up here. Quote, Nehemia had known Davis, known him, and lied about it. Lied about the riddle, and Nehemia had promised that there would be no more secrets between them. Promised and lied. Promised and deceived her. The part for me is that there's never a moment where Celaena, not that she should stop mourning her friend. I'm not saying that. But there's just not a moment where she thinks like, ooh, maybe
Nehemia's a bad person.
Yeah, or like maybe I didn't know everything about her, and maybe some of her actions hurt me as well, and might have hurt her ultimately in the end. I just wish that there was like a moment there of like, Nehemia, why couldn't you have told me everything? Maybe I could have helped you too.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I feel like in this moment, Celaena's almost on her way, but to thinking that, but I think to do so would cause her to break down, and she's not ready to do that. And quite frankly, she's not safe enough to do that yet.
Yeah.
We do see more of Celaena reflecting on Nehemia in Heir of Fire. I don't think it's the extent that we want, but it's when she's in a place where she has the space to process, and that space is not here right now.
No, and that's completely and utterly understandable. And At this point, Celaena goes and was like, hey, Nehemia has this riddle that told me I shouldn't look into and said that it was pointless and useless. So she was like, the fuck? And Celaena goes down to the tomb and discovers, like, wow, if I use the sword and I look through the special pommel, I get to see a poem. Quote, the tomb was filled with moonlight, bright enough to see by. And there, directly across the tomb from the eye in the wall, was another eye, golden and gleaming. Again, we have this moonlight. We have the moon just filling this entire tomb. And this is bringing truth and discovery and everything. And there's just not a cloudy night here. It's just a very clear sky. The moon always is bright. I'm just thinking about their weather and that, it's very convenient.
I know. If they never have a new moon, there's never a new energy in astrology for them.
Where is the new moon? And with all the moonlight, where's her moon water? Why is she not charging her crystals? Right?
Yeah.
You got to be on top of this, Celaena. Celaena confronts Mort about knowing the clue. And I think she's taking out her frustration of Nehemia onto Mort. Quote, since you clearly knew that the sword could be used to read the riddle. And this is a genuine ask for the listener, because I really would like someone to explain it to me. Why Nehemia was dissuading Celaena from finding out about the clue of like partnering with her. Is it meant to be one of those situations where maybe she had a feeling Celaena wouldn't have acted on things? Because we know Celaena was resistant, and someone might be like, well, if Celaena was more willing to become a rebel, then Nehemia would have showed her everything. However, maybe if Nehemia wanted Celaena to be a part of this journey, you should have let her figure shit out. So it's one of those, I need someone to explain it to me. Otherwise, it is pure plot device.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I don't feel like this was handled very well. The only way I can rationalize it is maybe Nehemia wanted to make sure she was present when Celaena found out so she could hold Celaena accountable.
Yeah.
And to be like, you can't back down from this.
I really feel like SJM wrote herself into a corner.
Yeah.
And is just kind of basing it of like a go with the vibes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because at this point, Celaena asks Mort, quote, I thought you had powers. You can't just speak some nonsense words and have the meaning of the riddle be revealed to me? Of course not. And isn't the journey more important in the end? No, she spat. It feels like a cop-out writing device. It feels very like someone might ask SJM, well, why can't Mort say anything? Why didn't Nehemia say anything? And then Mort's like, no, it's about the journey. You could have very easily have said something where he was like, I was spelled not to say anything. Gavin made it so that I can't reveal anything, that only the worthy are able to discover this. You know what I mean? There's a solve there that she didn't go for. And if I was editing the story, I personally would have pushed this plot avenue, this plot line a lot more to make it make sense for me.
Yeah, I think that's fair. There is a funny moment between Mort and Celaena that is also important that I just want to call out. Mort asks Celaena, quote, has the questing spirit seized you at last? Not yet, she said as she walked by. Once she found out what the 3 items were, then maybe she'd consider finding a way to go after them. So literally, she's lying, right? Yeah. Whether or not she thinks it's questing, Celaena is thinking about searching for the 3 items, which we find out are word stones or word keys. Now, that's personally my definition of questing spirit. She's not willing to admit it yet, at least to Mort, because she, in theory, is still resistant to seizing her destiny. That's exactly what Nehemia wanted. And eventually she will come to the conclusion that she will do it because Nehemia wanted it, to do what Nehemia wanted her to do. But she's not ready to be held responsible. She's still grieving, and that mindset is going to follow her into Heir of Fire.
Yeah.
More Heir of Fire setup, and this is so important, and I did just finish listening to Heir of Fire, so I'm just going to read this quote. She found herself wishing that he, Mort, actually could move about. Then she'd at least have one person to discuss this with. If she did have to go hunt these things down, whatever they were, then she'd have no one to go with her. There was no one who knew the truth. This, ultimately, is why Celaena is going to fall in love with Rowan because he is going to be the first and maybe only person to know the full truth. She longs for that. Like, Celaena doesn't even think about bringing Chaol and Dorian on this quest.
No.
Because she cannot give them her truth.
No. That's why I feel like people should always give a few people, like, give your full truth to some people. I know that's scary and very vulnerable, but you don't want it to be like, they're the first person I told everything to.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a reason to be with someone forever. Like, I'm happy you feel safe with them for the first time, but that doesn't mean that they're the ones to get it right. You know?
Yeah.
Just because you're willing to open up to someone doesn't mean that they know how to take care of that.
That's fair.
People don't get brownie points for you being vulnerable.
Snaps for Jack.
I felt that one in my soul.
Yeah. Take it to heart. Don't forget.
Wait, what? Talking to me.
Yeah. So the next time you're with a guy, he doesn't get points for you being vulnerable.
Okay, that's, I was pointing at the listener. We didn't have to point this around to me. No, my thing with guys, I was like also unraveling was they don't get brownie points for being good men.
Yeah.
Like,
That's
you have to be better than good.
Yeah. And as we've learned from Chaol, sometimes a good guy still supports the patriarchy.
Sometimes a good guy still fucking supports the patriarchy. You know, one of another rant, like a lot of people are getting some fun facts about us today. One of my biggest, like, towards the demise of my last relationship, towards the very end, where there was a moment of like, I truly felt it was the first time I really didn't have respect for him. It was very much the beginning of the end, and a lot of things were leading up to it, but I wanted to go volunteer at this food on foot place, and it's to help unhoused and underprivileged individuals with food and items and stuff. I like to volunteer there occasionally. It's not like a full soup kitchen, but it's similar vibes, right? You're handing things out. I wanted to go volunteer there. All you have to do is be there by 10 a.m. That's it. And it was too early in the day for him to do it. And that was like a moment where I was just like, you know what? I have zero respect for you for that. So that's like the Chaol thing where it's like, he was a good guy, but like, what happens when you're requested to do more?
Yeah.
So yeah, people don't get brownie points for things.
Nope.
But meanwhile, someone save that. Someone make it into a beautiful sticker. Amy, turn that into a shirt. They don't get brownie points for you being vulnerable.
Will do.
I'm already imagining all the DMs of someone being like, Jack, you spoke into my soul. Celaena is rocked with the news that Nehemia once again lied to Celaena because the lies just keep adding up. At this point, Mort was like, oh yeah, so Nehemia has been here before.
Yeah.
You brought her down. And she knew the truths about the tunnels. And so Celaena goes and takes a minute on the stairs. And she sits down, takes a breather. And lo and behold, Ghost's great-grandmother shows up. And she visits Celaena and, quote, her dress rustling as she took a seat a few steps up from Celaena. It seemed a distinctly unqueenly-like thing to do. Before social media, the tabloids used to do like celebrities. They're just like you.
Mm-hmm.
And this feels like queens. They're just like you. But it's literally Elena getting on Celaena's level. And I hate this.
But not at first. She's still a few steps up.
She's still a few fucking steps up. I've mentioned before that Elena has always been a mother-like figure, and you can see that with Celaena seeking comfort from her in a way. Quote, she hadn't realized how cold she was until she found herself leaning into Elena's warmth. The queen didn't say anything as Celaena buried her face in her hands and wept at last. It just feels so manipulative and wrong. Elena, you caused this. You are the one who instructed Nehemia to go down to these tunnels, to lie to Celaena, to do all this shit. Celaena even makes a comment saying, I thought you were too weak to come over here. We know that's a lie because Elena was paying visits to Nehemia.
Yep.
It's wrong, and I don't like it.
I agree.
Celaena goes then to pay her respects to Nehemia, and I feel like the description of this is meant to show that Celaena is on the path that Elena put her on. Quote, there was one last thing she had to do, perhaps the hardest and worst of all the things she had done since Nehemia had died. The moon was overhead, casting the world in silver. it makes sense that she's about to go do a very Fae thing.
Mhm.
It goes into her lineage. It goes into who she actually is and who Elena needs her to be. So in this moment, we're seeing Aelin, not Celaena.
Mhm.
And because of the fact that everything is in silver, which is very much a description of Elena, it's Celaena following the path that Elena wants her to be on. I hate that they rhyme.
I do too. Obviously intentional, but very annoying. So I have to stop and talk about the way Celaena is dressed when she goes to Nehemia's burial site. Quote, a black dress and a sheer flowing black veil spoke enough about her grief and kept everyone at a long, long distance. For the first time, she is physically embodying the wraith that she's described as. But it's because it's from her point of view, we don't get the word wraith because she's never thought of herself as a wraith. Visually, though, that's what she is.
Yeah.
And I just thought, gave me tingles.
I love it. Good freaking point. We switch over to Chaol's point of view, and he's watching Celaena sing to Nehemia's grave. Quote, she beat her breast in time, so full of savage grace, so at odds with the black gown and veil she wore. Now, I am going to get caught up on the word savage grace. Savage this is also me replaying that song in Pocahontas. They're like, savages, barely even human, right?
Yep.
And so whenever I imagine savages, what I imagine in people using the word savage is a white person describing non-white people.
Yep.
So right now, this is a human person describing a non-human activity, that there is a savageness to it and there is an other factor.
Mm-hmm.
The word, yeah. And so it's to the listener's point, to Emily's point, it comes back down to how Chaol is viewing this, where he is viewing it from his own safe, human, patriarchal side of things. And it's like, whoa, she's doing this savage thing that's so in contrast to her refined clothing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Honestly, he could have replaced the word savage with heathen, and heathen is described as someone of not your faith, someone you see as being of like a faith that is more savage than your own.
Mm-hmm.
Same vibes. What she is doing is not acceptable in his society. It does not align with what he thinks of as proper.
Yeah.
And therefore it is despicable.
And it's just also a nice visual, like as much as we're like, fuck you, Chaol, it's a nice visual. Quote, so Chaol walked away, her lament still echoing through the night around him, carried on the wind like the pealing of distant bells. And I love this description of distant bells because it reminds me of like wedding bells.
Mm-hmm.
And that is his dream of them getting married, being left behind at the graveyard because it will never happen.
Love it. Great visual.
Yeah.
Take a sip.
Take a sip. Grab a snack, stretch your legs, and listen to this while we plot our next move.
Growing up, my parents were obsessive about the chore charts and the stickers that we got to use to track our chores and what each completed chore was worth in money.
And now with Acorns Early, you can apply that to today's kids with modern technology. It's genius. Acorns Early is a smart debit card and money app that grows kids' money skills as they grow up.
Start with the in-app chores tracker and teach your kids the value of $1.
Then let your kids set up their own savings goals, start building healthy money habits early.
Make them work for that PS5.
Absolutely.
Kids can spend what they've earned with their own customizable debit card, giving them the extra sense of independence.
Plus, with Acorns Early, spending limits and real-time spending notifications, parents always stay in control.
This is definitely something I would use if I had kids because I love nothing more than teaching hard work for reward.
This is what's going to happen when I have kids. You're going to be teaching my kids with Acorns Early.
That's exactly right.
Ready to teach your kids the smart way to earn, save, and spend? Get your first month on us when you head to acornsearly.com/booktalk or download the Acorns Early app.
That's 1 month free when you sign up at acornsearly.com/booktalk. BOOKTALK.
Acorn's early card is issued by Community Federal Savings Bank, member FDIC, pursuant to license by MasterCard International. Free trial for new subscribers only. Subscription fee starting from $5 per month unless canceled. Terms apply at acorns.com/early terms.
This show is sponsored by Liquid IV.
I'll give you one guess into what's my Stanley right now.
Probably something with electrolytes, like Liquid IV.
It's not even funny how true that is. Liquid IV is scientifically formulated to help replenish electrolytes and fluids lost from sweat or exercise, which is perfect because I am both sweating and exercising this summer.
It has 3 times the electrolytes of the leading sports drink, plus 8 vitamins and nutrients, all in a single stick. And guess what? They've got Orange Vanilla Dream Hydration right now. It is so nostalgic. Makes me think of summer instantly.
The fact that it has 100% daily value of 4 essential B vitamins, B3, B5, B6, B12, it's an excellent source of vitamin C, and it makes me just feel like I've really accomplished a lot just by drinking one of these.
Powered by Liquid IV Hydroscience, Liquid IV replaces necessary nutrients lost from everyday dehydration, and it doesn't matter if you live somewhere dry or humid, trust me, you're dehydrated.
Just 1 stick and 16 ounces of water hydrates better than water alone.
It is always non-GMO, vegan, gluten-free, dairy-free, and soy-free. And if you're like me and are sensitive to everything, it is fantastic.
Savor the last bits of summer with Liquid IV. Tear, pour, live more. Go to liquidiv.com and get 20% off your first order with code BOOKTALK at checkout.
That's 20% off your first order and code BOOKTALK, BOOKTALK, at liquidiv.com.
What does every USAA member have in common? Family. We're one big family who supports the military community and their eligible families. And if you, your parent, or spouse served, you could join our family and save big on auto insurance. Visit USAA.com/join today to check your eligibility. Membership eligibility and product restrictions apply and are subject to change. USAA means United Services Automobile Association and its affiliates, San Antonio, Texas.
This episode is sponsored by Friskies, who would like to tell your cats hi. Now, if that didn't get your cat's attention, there is one thing that always does the trick. Just pour some Friskies crunchy food in the bowl and you'll hear those paws come running. Works every time. With so many Friskies choices, you can always bring your cats running from their secret napping spots. There's always more to explore. See for yourself at friskies.com or visit your local store.
We are now in chapter 38, and the chapter starts with Celaena trying to play fetch with Fleetfoot, who instead is just waiting for Nehemia because Nehemia was her favorite. The scene is so well written to induce heartbreak. Nehemia's name is never used. It's like Celaena, because it's from her perspective, doesn't have the energy to think about Nehemia. It risks her mental stability. And so therefore, she has to compartmentalize. And because of that, she can't think of Nehemia's, or at least Nehemia's name. Quote, Celaena said, she's never coming back. The dog kept waiting. There is something really, really powerful in what isn't said, in what is not written. The lack of information reflects Celaena's inability to process things right now, her disassociation. It's different from the disassociation when she was in assassin mode, but it is a disassociation that I think is normal in grief.
Yeah. And even with the disassociation, there's also a level of acceptance. I feel like there's been a lot of stages of grief at this point, and, you know, you can see her in denial, almost in bargaining. You can see her in anger, right? Like she's going through the different stages of grief. And now you have her, and this is not complete acceptance, but it's enough of an acceptance that she's going to be able to start a friendship anew with Dorian. So it's the like, she's never coming back. The dog kept waiting. Did you ever watch Babe, the movie with the pig?
Oh, yeah. Actually, Emma and I just watched it a few weeks ago.
That's so random. For whatever reason, it gives me that'll do, pig. That'll do vibes.
Yeah.
So now we're in Dorian's point of view, and Celaena finds him in the library, and they're having a friendly conversation. It's actually funny, too. And Dorian notices something new about her. Quote, She wore a dark blue tunic he never seen before, with golden embroidery that glinted in the dim light. In fact, her whole outfit looked new. Her whole outfit is new, as we know, because she went and destroyed everything. And I think that her being new, right? All of her clothes being new, it's her starting fresh in many ways. And I think that allows her to be in the mindset to start fresh with Dorian.
I love that point. And it's helpful that we're in Dorian's point of view right now. Now, we know that he's had nightmares since the night that Nehemia died because he's like, Celaena touched my neck. I think she wanted to kill me. He doesn't really say that, but we know he's thinking it. Despite that, despite seeing Celaena in the council room with Graves' head, Dorian still manages to be himself. And I think we need to see that as the reader. Quote, "No," she said, folding the papers in half. "No, there's no book. I just wanted to walk." And he'd just come to a dark corner of the library to read.
Yeah. He's like,
It's
bullshit.
Bullshit. Humor is used in this scene, and it's important. After Celaena has said goodbye to Nehemia, has, done the thing to honor her by singing this traditional song, I think we're starting to see symbolically the first steps of Celaena's movement through the grief process towards acceptance, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
Quote, "A moment later, when the little librarian came waddling into view and asked if they'd seen a dog, Celaena only shook her head and said that she had heard something from the opposite direction. And then she told him to keep his voice down because it was a library." I love that this is indirect dialogue. It's all in the exposition. It's because neither Celaena nor Dorian are really fully ready to accept normal life because laughing, making fun of things, that's being normal. And does that dishonor the dead? But for us as the readers, it signals Celaena coming back to herself now that she's had the ability to mourn. We get to see the narrative kind of shift back to what we see as normal.
Yeah, I will say, having done both, like my dad's death, like everyone was so distraught. It was just really quiet and no one really did anything. And it took like a year before we could laugh without guilt. Versus like when my grandparents died, everyone was able to, like, we knew it was coming. So I'm thinking about another shocking, like you just weren't expecting a death.
Mm-hmm.
When my uncle died, tragic. We were all sitting down and crying, but God, we had joke. Like we were able, because we were at the family and you're able to laugh. And there's just like, this is just me saying that if anyone loses anyone, I cannot encourage you enough to like laugh as much as possible, even in the immediate aftermath. It makes life so much easier. And then it makes moments like these not as jarring, where you're like, oh, I laughed, talk about funny stories, have the darkest sense of humor you possibly can.
Yeah, I think it helps with the grieving process. And I think, I can't say for everybody, but most of our family wouldn't want us to be sad.
No.
Like they just want us to be happy.
Yeah, absolutely. When Celaena apologizes for her behavior for not being like herself, which is like such a nice way of saying, hey, sorry that I stroked your throat in the most threatening way possible.
Mm-hmm.
Dorian thinks, quote, or she'd just been a part of herself that she usually kept on a tight, tight leash, he thought. So Dorian, I think, for the first time, really understands Celaena and understands just how dangerous everything is and that there is a lot more to her. And while Chaol takes this as like I got to figure out more so that I can get ahead of her so that she doesn't take that out on me, Dorian almost respects the leashed individual. However, I have to point out, leashed animals, comparing her to an animal.
Yes. Yeah. He is comparing her to an animal who has to be contained or detained because that's how Dorian feels about himself, right? He's able to have sympathy for Celaena because he is, for the first time, experiencing something he cannot control within his own body that he has to keep leashed and that he views as dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, there's the implied power dynamics, the implied you can't be who all the facets of who you are. You need to keep it under control. But what I love about this is unlike Chaol, Dorian is finally able to really see Celaena. He's seeing a new side of Celaena that he's not acknowledged up until this point.
It's almost like, yes, there's the animal. Yes, there's the leash, but there's something more pure to this than that.
Right. And he says, I understand. Quote, and from the way her eyes softened, he knew that was all he ever needed to say. All Celaena wants is someone who sees her and accepts her. And in this small moment, Dorian has achieved it. It's so sad that Chaol could not do her the same courtesy.
Chaol is now invested in finding out more about Celaena. And honestly, the motivation is very questionable, as we already said before. Quote, she was hiding something, a secret she kept locked up so tight that only the horror and shattering loss of that night could have made her slip in such a way. So the more he could discover about her, the better chance he stood of being prepared when the secret came to light. This is the second time that he is like thinking, I need to get ready. I need to get ready for her. And it just makes me think about Emily's, note talking about how he only likes her in certain regards and that this is not upholding the system that he has benefited and supported.
Well, the night that they dance, he also knew Celaena was going to be in a mood and he wanted to get ahead of it by putting her on guard duty, by putting her outside. So he's always acted this way.
Yeah.
But it was okay when he could still control her. And he was okay being with her because he could still control her. He is now on the defensive because he can no longer control her.
Absolutely. The librarian gives Chaol a big old clue, but more importantly, gives the reader a big clue. Quote, they were taught, and so the librarian was like, oh, actually the Fae used to have some traditions like this, secrets.
Only the nobility knew.
Only the nobility, but he does say Fae at one point.
Does.
But like at this point, it's only the nobility. Quote, they were taught and sung in secret, their dead buried by the light of the moon, when no other ear could hear them. With all of the moments of moonlight and with everything that's been happening these last couple chapters, I think it's not just a clue about her being like Fae, like this is the moonlight has been foreshadowing. So, and then you can almost say everything leading up to this, what could you look at it as her being Fae in many ways, right? Like her hunting Grave, was that very Fae of her? Her pulling out Gavin's sword, very Fae. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of things that you could say Fae equals moonlight.
Yeah. And I mean, does she feel an entitlement to Gavin's sword because she is also in some ways a descendant?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think she's a descendant of Elena. She's probably a descendant of Brannon.
No, she's a descendant. Well, Elena's a descendant of Brannon.
I don't know. It could have, whatever. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. They're related a little bit.
They're related somehow. So maybe she feels entitled to Damaris. Yeah. I don't know.
Okay. So the last quote I want to reference before Amy gets to her last point is this. Quote, if Celaena ever took up the mantle she lost, if Terrasen ever got to its feet, then Celaena could become a powerhouse, potentially capable of standing against Adarlan, and that made Celaena more than just his enemy. It made her the greatest threat he'd ever encountered. Never has a listener email been more poignant than this moment. Like I was just everything that she said, right? Of how Celaena represents not the status quo for him. That she represents a system that is not his safety and does not provide the best for him.
He doesn't go searching for that because she's always been this, right? And the information was always there for him to find. He's never really gone looking for it. And the reason for that is because, well, Celaena was quote unquote in love with Dorian. So she wasn't really a threat. And then she was in love with Chaol and Chaol was in love with her. So she's not a threat. But the second Celaena put her hands on Dorian's neck, the night that Nehemia died, Celaena has become a threat. They have gone back to being the prisoner and the guard in Endovier, right? He's the captain of the guard who escorted her back from Endovier. There is no trust. Has Chaol even talked to Dorian about how he feels?
Yeah.
Not that we know of.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, Dorian was scared. He's had nightmares. But we've also seen how he's still capable of seeing Celaena as human, at least partly. Whereas in Chaol's mind, she is essentially only predator. She is only threat.
Mm-hmm.
He's never let his guard down around her. Ultimately, he's always known she's a threat. Now it's just confirmed.
To use the lens that Emily provided us, you could also say that the moment that Celaena put her hands on Dorian's neck, who is a literal representation of the patriarchy,
yep, of the power
of the system, is when she went against Chaol.
Yep. And then Chaol turned against her.
Yep. Let's go into breadcrumbs and broomsticks.
In chapter 35, as Celaena goes to the tomb to get weapons, Mort says to her, "I'm sorry about your friend," he said with surprising sorrow as she stalked toward him. She didn't reply, and she didn't care how he knew, probably because Celaena and Nehemia were talking about it.
Yeah. In chapter 36, while in the council room when Celaena walks in with Graves' head, Dorian is worried about Chaol and Celaena fighting and his magic being provoked. Quote, "He was sitting beside the person who would give the order to put him down." Just, just some great foreshadowing to the end of Air of Fire right there.
When Celaena goes to see Archer, she warns him he has 5 days to leave Rifthold. Quote, "If you aren't prepared to leave Rifthold, then I won't bother faking your death. I will kill you before you know I'm in the room." This is the second time she's threatened to kill Archer, and it's just more foreshadowing.
Third time's the charm.
Mm-hmm.
In chapter 37, Celaena singing her funeral song for Nehemia, quote, "The language was ancient, each word full of power and rage and agony. She beat her breast in time, so full of savage grace, so at odds with the black gown and veil she wore. The hair on the back of his neck stood as the lament poured from her mouth, unearthly and foreign, the song of grief so old that it predated the stone castle itself." I mean, how does that sound when you're like, it's more Fey heritage breadcrumbs, but it's also like, wow.
It also sounds like the white colonizer hating on what is traditional for the native people of the land.
Yep.
And lastly, in chapter 38, the librarian tells Chaol, quote, "There are feral beasts running amok in my library."
Amok. Oh yeah, it's the monster.
There's a monster, not just a dog.
Yeah. All right. So we asked our listeners, is a Celaena killing Grave the first immoral thing that she did? I would like to note, in many other questions we've had answers out of the wazoo. We have had very little answers on this one. And I'm not shaming you guys. But maybe I am. No, this is not what I'm saying is this is not an easy question.
Yeah, this is not an easy question.
Because the follow-up was, if this is not the first immoral act she's done, then what is?
Hannah says, it depends on what you consider immoral. She has killed plenty before. Was killing her overseer in Endovier immoral? She needed someone to blame for Nehemia, and since she can't do anything more to Chaol, she finds someone to blame. She does end up being wrong, which some may say makes it immoral. But you can argue Grave isn't great either, so is it okay? Honestly, it wasn't good for her to do because she just found someone to blame without knowing the full truth, though it's deeper than that. But also, he wasn't technically a good person either. To answer the question of what was her first immoral act, we may not know. The first time she killed, it depends on what people consider immoral. Maybe the first time she killed someone who didn't deserve it, but was it Grave?
I think, what is the question of immoral? I think for us, we go back to, is getting revenge immoral? Maybe in today's society, it's not smiled upon. However, she didn't get revenge only, she tortured him as well. Mm-hmm. So just keep that in mind. So everyone here a lot of people said similar things I don't think killing Grave was immoral. Grave was immoral himself, which again, it's very eye for an eye. And it's like, that doesn't mean that that's not immoral.
Yeah.
Some people say dating Chaol was the first immoral thing. Someone says, no, throwing the knife at Lysandra was crime against women. I love it.
Oh, that's a good point. I forgot that happens.
I'm not sure, but it does show her lack of impulse control. That is absolutely.
Yeah.
No, she has a long history as an assassin. But that's also fair. However, she was a minor the whole time. So can a minor be accountable for immoral actions when she's being forced to do those?
Right.
That's another thing. It's like she was not forced to kill Grave here.
Right. I mean, in theory, all of her kills while she was an assassin working for Urban Hummel was a means of survival. It was purely the only way that she knew how to be alive in the world.
Yeah. I have a couple more.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is it immoral? Truly immoral to kill a sadist, torture, murder? Just because someone deserves it doesn't mean that torturing them. It's not like she did a quiet kill. She tortured him back. I'm not saying that they don't deserve it. If you put someone who hurt kids in front of me, but again, I'm not saying that what I would do is morally right. Someone says like she was going to get revenge for Sam like this, but she got it for Nehemia instead. Doesn't mean that it's not immoral. It's the first time she's met the job description.
Oh.
No, savage. That was. I felt that one. That one was a good. Woof. That one was hard. Revenge is a human thing. I support women's rights and their wrongs. I definitely support women's rights and their wrongs. Again, is revenge just killing? Is the torture the too far apart?
Yeah.
I think SJM set us up to, like, the writing set us up for us to understand that what she was about to do was a bad thing. Last two comments, and then you go on your thing. No, I feel like it's not immoral, even though he didn't kill Nehemia. He was still a killer. I mean, he did kill Nehemia. I mean, she was at Endovir before this. So, okay. So, yeah, I mean, in general, it's a lot of he deserved it. So,
really quick, before we continue the conversation, a trigger warning. I am going to talk about the darker side of humanity, which is pedophilia and molesting of children.
And rape.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a question I think people struggle with in our society too. Do the people who were wronged or related to the people who were wronged get to mete out justice before the justice system? So I think of examples of, a woman who dismembers or castrates her husband because he's been molesting the children, or,
yeah, that doesn't mean that I don't support it. Like,
quite frankly,
can't see that it's like, but was that a moral thing to do?
Yeah. And that's the conundrum of life.
So and that is the conundrum of life, right? Is to say who deserves it, who doesn't deserve it. I'll even go to currently, you've heard about the whole alligator Alcatraz that they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so they're building a detention center, which got flooded, by the way, because even Mother Nature was like, the fuck are you doing? So, it's a detention, for anyone who doesn't know, it's a detention center that's being built out on a man-made island in the middle of, on the Florida Keys or something like that. But where a bunch of alligators are surrounding, so that if anyone escapes, anyone who has been detained by ICE and being held essentially illegally there and tries to escape, they will be eaten by alligators. That is immoral. That is wrong. They are human beings. You cannot do that.
Yeah.
Let's replace that with every single person in there is not it's not to do with anything illegal, but let's pretend like we do something like this and we do it for pedophiles, rapists, the worst of the worst that I truly disdain. I am not saying that I would not be the first person being like, here, alligator, go get him. Yeah. However, I would also have to say, is that moral? Are you putting a stain on yourself?
Yeah.
Just because the answer might potentially be yes, doesn't mean that it's the wrong thing to do,
Yeah. Something that sticks with me is how in prisons, how men treat other men who are known to be pedophiles.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't remember, this was the internet before people thought about filters. But I remember seeing a picture of a man who had been raped by a bunch of other men because he was a pedophile.
Yeah.
And they wanted him to experience what he did to the children and just all the blood. And I'm just I don't think you're wrong, but you're wrong.
Yeah.
And
I
it's
think
hard.
just the description of what you're saying is horrific, right?
Right.
And, the first half of your sentence was, men who are pedophiles, they're targeted in prison. And immediately I'm like, yes, get them. And then you made that description and it humanized them. And it's like, this is a horrible human being. We should not have pedophiles and rapists and these horrible individuals out in the world. It also feels wrong of what we're seeing. And that, I think, is what SJM was trying to do, is make us feel like, okay, I get what you're doing. Grave is a piece of shit. He is the worst. However, this doesn't feel cozy.
Yeah. Yeah. This is not like you're hitting rock bottom.
Yeah. And again, like, this isn't put someone in front of me tied up who's done a bad thing and give me a knife and who knows what I would do. You know what I mean? Like, this is not any form of superiority. I think that just the way that SJM wrote it set us up to feel that conflict, because it did set it up in a way for Celaena to be so detached and covered in darkness.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, but there's a different question that we're here to address.
Yeah, we still have another question to answer.
Woo.
Are Celaena's actions in these chapters the stages of grief playing out? If so, are they bringing her closer toward acceptance?
Yeah. It's anything that brings you out of the state of comatose is bringing you closer to acceptance. The second you leave your room and you're willing to stand up and you're willing to get dressed and you're willing to meet the next day, because remember, before this episode, in last week's episode, it ended with her just essentially sitting in the same bed over and over and over again and just replaying the same day in her head what's going on. You are not going forward in grief. Whether you're murdering the murderer or you're, doing other things or singing or cleaning out or something, if you're doing something and you're living your life, even if you're going to the library and having a conversation with your friend where you're laughing, those are stages that's bringing you closer to acceptance. And one thing that I want to really emphasize, and I say this having gone through death and grief in many different ways, so this kind of feels like a life lesson to everyone. One, there is no acceptance. There is rebuilding your life. There is no finally I'm okay. Your world and your reality has been absolutely shattered. You are now building the new reality. And that's what that is. When my dad died, it was particularly devastating to my family. And not that these other ones haven't been devastating, but it was, I was 12. My mom didn't know what she was doing. And there was a true comatose situation. And that delayed the grieving process for a very long time. It was very stagnant. It was rinse and repeat in the same grief. Anything that you're doing to rebuild the new reality is in the right direction.
I think that's an important lesson for people to know that maybe haven't gone through that yet in their life. I, for one, have not, and I don't look forward to that day. I will say, based on what you're saying, acceptance feels like a misnomer. It feels like the wrong word choice for this, right? What it's implying is you accept that your life will no longer be the same.
Yes.
But that's not what people think of when they
think acceptance.
Of acceptance. Exactly. And so I like the idea of rebuilding. I feel like that's a better word choice. I think, yes, these are Celaena's actions of grief. And I think that, honestly, in some ways, the guilt she's going to feel is going to prolong the stage of grief, right? She's going to have survivor's guilt, if that's even the right word for it.
Yeah.
She's going to feel different levels of guilt about different things. And I think that is going to cause some stagnation, even though she's maybe no longer comatose. But to your point, it is going to put her on a path toward rebuilding her life.
In the writing point of view, I want to applaud SJM because we covered 4 chapters today. Nehemia died, I think last episode, it was like a couple chapters. So let's call it 6 chapters, 6 to 7 chapters of her death to acceptance. This is not a giant book. This is not a particularly large book. This is not the biggest book in the series by far. I worry for Heir of Fire. We haven't even discussed what are we doing? 10 episodes? Are we doing 12? What are we doing? So this is not a particularly large book. With a limited amount of time and space, SJM took us through Celaena's grieving process while still making it obvious that she's not done. It's not like we've reached the end of chapter 38 and suddenly she's like, wow,
the book's
I
over.
have clarity now. Yeah, like I have acceptance. And I think that from a writing perspective, this was a very chef's kiss moment of having us be with the heroine and going through this journey with her and coming out to another side, because now the next steps would not make sense if she hadn't gone through all this. If she had just woken up one day and was like, all right, time for my side quest. I still have issues with this quest thing and Morton, you know, like wanting to, you know, add more oomph there. However, I think SJM set this up very well for the next stage of this book.
I think that's a great point.
Thank you. So we're just ending the episode on my great point?
I think so. I have nothing to add.
All right, let's ride this high.
Yeah, let's go.
All right.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Book Talk for Book Talk with Jack and Amy. Next week, we will be exploring chapters 39 through 43 of Crown of Midnight.
We encourage you to rate and subscribe to our show on your preferred podcast listening platform. We would also love to hear your thoughts based on today's conversation. You can submit your comments to our forum at booktalkforbooktalk.com for a chance to have your feedback discussed during a future mini episode or on a Patreon exclusive episode.
If you're enjoying the podcast, please visit our website, booktalkforbooktalk.com, to view our latest merch and learn about supporting the show through Patreon or Venmo. You can follow us on TikTok, Instagram, or YouTube at the handle Book Talk for Book Talk. Bye. Growing up, my parents were obsessive about the chore charts and the stickers that we got to use to track our chores and what each completed chore was worth in money.
And now with Acorns Early, you can apply that to today's kids with modern technology. It's genius. Acorns Early is a smart debit card and money app that grows kids' money skills as they grow up.
Start with the in-app chores tracker and teach your kids the value of $1.
Then let your kids set up their own savings goals, start building healthy money habits early.
Make them work for that PS5.
Absolutely.
Kids can spend what they've earned with their own customizable debit card, giving them the extra sense of independence.
Plus, with Acorns Early, spending limits and real-time spending notifications, parents always stay in control.
This is definitely something I would use if I had kids, because I love nothing more than teaching hard work for reward.
This is what's going to happen when I have kids. You're going to be teaching my kids with Acorns Early.
That's exactly right.
Ready to teach your kids the smart way to earn, save, and spend? Get your first month on us when you head to acornsearly.com/booktalk or download the Acorns Early app.
That's 1 month free when you sign up at acornsearly.com/booktalk. BOOKTALK.
Acorns Early Card is issued by Community Federal Savings Bank, member FDIC, pursuant to license by MasterCard International. Free trial for new subscribers only. Subscription fee starting from $5 per month unless canceled. Terms apply at acorns.com/early terms.
The search for truth never ends. Introducing June's Journey, a hidden object mobile game with a captivating story. Connect with friends, explore the roaring 20s, and enjoy thrilling activities and challenges while supporting environmental causes. After 7 years, the adventure continues with our immersive travels feature. Explore distant cultures and engage in exciting experiences. There's always something new to discover. Are you ready? Download June's Journey now on Android or iOS.
This show is sponsored by Liquid IV.
I'll give you one guess into what's my Stanley right now.
Probably something with electrolytes, like Liquid IV.
It's not even funny how true that is. Liquid IV is scientifically formulated to help replenish electrolytes and fluids lost from sweat or exercise, which is perfect because I am both sweating and exercising this summer.
It has 3 times the electrolytes of the leading sports drink, plus 8 vitamins and nutrients, all in a single stick. And guess what? They've got Orange Vanilla Dream Hydration right now. It is so nostalgic. makes me think of summer instantly.
The fact that it has 100% daily value of 4 essential B vitamins, B3, B5, B6, B12. It's an excellent source of vitamin C, and it makes me just feel like I've really accomplished a lot just by drinking one of these.
Powered by Liquid IV Hydroscience, Liquid IV replaces necessary nutrients lost from everyday dehydration, and it doesn't matter if you live somewhere dry or humid, trust me, you're dehydrated.
Just 1 stick in 16 ounces of water hydrates better than water alone.
It is always non-GMO, vegan, gluten-free, dairy-free, and soy-free. And if you're like me and are sensitive to everything, it is fantastic.
Savor the last bits of summer with Liquid IV. Tear, pour, live more. Go to liquidiv.com and get 20% off your first order with code BOOKTALK at checkout.
That's 20% off your first order and code BOOKTALK, BOOKTALK, at liquidiv.com.
Hey guys, it's Hannah from Giggly Squad. You know I love beauty, and that's why I go to Sephora. It's not just shopping, it's like a glam experience. The beauty advisors actually get beauty, unlike those big box stores, and they give me all the advice I need. And I love going with the products you can only find at Sephora, like my new favorite Chaol fragrance, my perfect shade of House Labs foundation, and finally restocked my Laneige lip mask. All with the help of real experts. Oh, and if you haven't tried Days shampoo, go try it. It's a game changer. Sephora isn't just a store, it's the beauty destination. Go. You'll thank me later.